Hello Havenites. This next video for me is in fact a lesson video designed to possibly help you should you encounter a similar issue like I did, in that the lesson is to be careful of what you post on social media. I'm dividing this video up into specific sections to discuss based upon the order in which I had encountered at different points in my life, how I learned about being careful what I post on social media. Here we are, starting on Tuesday, June 8th, 2010. This is the first lesson I learned. My oldest brother became offended after I had posted a Facebook status update earlier that day after my youngest brother left for Virginia Beach, Virginia. I recall posting for my post that offended him, "The evil is gone, hopefully for good." Now, all these years later, I still cannot understand exactly how this posting to Facebook was so offending to my oldest brother. His reaction was so shocking, in that he first threatened to beat me up over the phone if I didn't agree to take it down, and then, shockingly, he followed up on that in my own bedroom of the house about 20 minutes later by angrily grabbing me, throwing my phone across the room, and then he angrily shouted at me directly into my face while grabbing me, and this still haunts me to this day, even though this monster is no longer with us today. I didn't deserve any of that. What I did deserve from insane monsters like him was acceptance, love, and gratitude. Most of all, as at the time, I was the first in my family to graduate college with my very first college degree 1 month prior that year. He didn't have to be so jealous of me because I'm still the youngest in my family. More onto this later in a future video. The second lesson I want to preach to you is that I was working a summer job in the summer of 2015 at Camp Whitman. I was working the summer job at this camp nearby my home named Camp Whitman. During that time, I was hired as a dishwasher in the kitchen area. The trouble all started for me when one day the help that was helping me suddenly quit, and I was left during my shift completely solo at the dishwashing station, trying to wash as many dishes as possible that were coming in during my shift, which was incidentally in the morning. I just couldn't keep up alone. Campers and other staff were coming through, piling their dishes one on top of the other, while I was trying to scrape, rinse, and finally run through them through the dishwasher machine. It was while doing this that the then maintenance caretaker had stumbled behind me, looked at me funny, and then critiqued my work rather than helping me or finding someone else to help me. "You're not supposed to do that," were his exact words. After hearing this, I'm left thinking, well, help me then. But instead, he just walked off the other way like some obnoxious, snotty dickhead, leaving me in a terrible state as I struggled to keep up the now massive supply of dishes towering to the sky before me. Now, as a result of this, I just couldn't continue working that day. I was so upset and in tears at that point that my boss had taken me outside to the front of the main lodge area where we sat on a bench and calmly talked to me for a few minutes. At the end of that, I was fine and ready to resume my shift before it ended, and I came back home for the day. When I did come back home after my shift, I got on my Facebook page and I wrote up a lengthy status update on my page telling my side of the story about what this dickhead had done to me, to my Facebook friends, that soon gained a ton of sympathy from them. By the following Monday, my post had caught the attention of the then Camp Whitman director, who had accused me of slander and ordered me to remove this post from my page or else be fired. So, happily, I complied with her, and I removed my post per her wishes. Now, also that Monday, I had ran into that maintenance man who had upset me the week before. When I had quoted him for an apology that he had desperately owed me for upsetting me, the cocky fucking bastard had informed me that he had owed me nothing, and then he stormed off, leaving me more upset than I was the previous week. Now, if I wasn't so afraid then, I probably would have slugged him hard with my fist. I was that mad, and he would have deserved it. Last summer, when I had finally came back to Camp Whitman, working for a different camp this time, I thought I was going to be feeling deja vu from this first experience at Whitman. But luckily that wasn't the case, as the kitchen scenario was fixed, and the Camp Whitman's director had informed me that the maintenance man who would give me trouble had no longer worked there anymore. So now happily all is well, and no harm is done now. Hallelujah! Thank God. In January of 2017, there was a Facebook post that I was offended by. I was surfing through Facebook one day that month when I came across the post by the girlfriend of my nephew that had suddenly sounded alarming to me. The post that had stated at the time, "I know he's cute, but he's mine. Touch him and I'll kill you." This post was followed up by a single snapshot photo of my nephew standing alone underneath this alarming message. My initial thought to seeing this threatening post made by my nephew's girlfriend was literal shock and appallment. I immediately felt like my oldest brother after he saw my post, which again, the evil is gone, hopefully for good, that I had made back on June 8, 2010, that he found offending. Now I ask you, which is worse, my nephew's girlfriend's post or my post? At least my post didn't have a literal threat attached to it, like "touch him and I'll kill you," like hers did. Just who exactly she was referring to, I will never know, and probably don't want to know, but I still say that that's threatening and highly offensive, more so than mine was 13 years ago, when my oldest brother had found it offended by me. Upon seeing the post from my nephew's girlfriend, I immediately informed my younger sister about it. Ha! What good did that do me? The stuck-up, controlling bitch, more on this later in a future video, had practically sided with my nephew's girlfriend, telling me not to worry, that it was her page, and that she could post whoever the heck she wanted. Ha! Try telling that to my oldest brother, no longer here anymore. He was the one who ultimately came after me angrily and aggressively, even though I was trying to assert the same feeling then that my younger sister was trying to tell me now toward her about her post. And since I wasn't getting anywhere with my younger sister at the time, I finally contacted my nephew's girlfriend after that her post had bothered me. Before she had deleted it for me to comply, she had also secretly contacted my younger sister that I had contacted her about how her post had bothered me. My younger sister was incensed at the time after hearing this from me that I had messaged my nephew's girlfriend about it. She once again reverberated to me at the time that my nephew's girlfriend's page, that it was her page, and that she could post whatever the heck she wanted. Ha ha ha! Yeah, right. the First Amendment can only get you so far in this world, as I would find out the very next year. Stay tuned. Um, Instead of contacting my nephew's girlfriend, I only wish today that I had a photo screenshot of this threatening post from her, which again, I know he's cute, but he's mine. Touch him and I'll kill you, was what she said again, all those years, 7 years ago now. And I can't believe after threatening posts like that from her that she's currently working as a toddler teacher now at Kuka Lake School in Penang. Some role model she is to kids today. Ha ha ha! My misunderstanding from Monday, February 12th in 2018. This is the main event, folks, the real lesson story that I would like to share with you today. If anything is learned from this entire video, it should be learned from this one segment. Here we go. For about 1 full year, I was employed as a substitute teacher aide with Dundee Central School, specifically subbing in the elementary building to the elementary students. I had felt like I was getting better, and both the students and other staff were starting to appreciate me and my building work experiences with children. I thought that within no time at all that I might have experienced a full-time job offer with Dundee Central School eventually because of this, my dream job after graduating from college. But no, thanks to some lousy, offended nobody from the town of Penang, you know who you are, whoever the fuck you are, that dream job of mine was ultimately dashed right out from under my thin fucking hands. My trouble had all started on the evening of Monday, January 29th. The WWE Raw episode after the Royal Rumble pay-per-view was airing on TV that night. I was tuning in to see if one of my then favorite female pro wrestlers at the time, named Ronda Rousey, was going to show up after surprisingly showing up at the end of the pay-per-view the previous night to confront each female wrestling champion then. While watching Raw, I was also surfing Facebook on my tablet device when I came across a WFLR radio station article which had caught my eye. The article had detailed some guy who got caught sending a nude photo of himself to an underage child. Now, the way that this article was written was sounding somewhat biased and off to me. The article had sounded as if from the viewpoint that all photos were bad. So I had commented on it. I just said, what's wrong with the photo? Hashtag overreacting was all that I said about this article. I guess this was a mistake, since the next morning I was checking my Facebook feed and people were suddenly commenting and responding to my comment as if I was the bad guy all along that this article was talking about. One responder to my comment had responded to me that I shouldn't be working for a school district if I had believed in what I had said, and that the guy that the article was written about shouldn't be punished for what he did. That's true, I'll give him that. However, all photos cannot be bad. Each one tells a story. That is why photography is an art form, people. Now, I like to be featured in photos with people because it enhances my connection to the people that I know, so that hopefully I can get greater opportunities in the future for myself the more that I know. To not cause drama, I recall deleting my comment as the responses against me had came pouring in. Now remember that. I deleted my comment. Keep that in mind. The responder who had replied to my comment, taking offense to what I had said, would not have realized that I had worked for a school had they not gone to my Facebook page and seen my job publicly posted for all to see. The lesson that I would like to preach here in this story and basically in all of the stories here that I'm sharing with you for this one video is to never post your job publicly on your social media page. I know it sounds professional and seems to give you power and authority. That's why a lot of people do it. That's why I did it. But in my case, some jackass from the village of Pendan or Yahoo, who also enjoys the WFLR radio station content, like I like to do from time to time, had openly taken offense to me and what I had said. Again, and that's not cool with me. Why did these things suddenly happen to me? I have so far been beaten up, silent, and told to mind my own business every time something had bothered me. In the case of January 2017 with my nephew's girlfriend and my younger sister's fucking getting involved. Today I feel as if my First Amendment rights are indeed being violated. And again, that's not fair. Two weeks later, it's Monday, February 12th. A day like January 8, 2010 that will forever live in infamy with me. This was the repercussions felt by the Dundee Central School over that meaningless comment. Keep in mind, I fucking deleted this thing to comply with the haters against me when it was originally posted by me 2 weeks earlier. 2 weeks earlier. Freaking 2 weeks earlier this happened. And now 2 weeks later, I'm being repercussed for this. What the hell? And I'll tell you why I got repercussed for this, because before I deleted my comment, some lousy, narking scumbag from Pendan, who also follows WFLR, whoever the fuck you are, and I will find out someday, had narked me out to the school where I had worked to fuck me over. I recall from my day that day, I was happy as I started my shift that day. I was assigned to work in a special needs classroom with some special needs preschool age kids that day. Everything seemed to be going fine. I performed my job duties for the day exceptionally well. I couldn't imagine that this would soon become my very last day working at Dundee Central School. Before I left for my lunch break at about 12:15 that day, I noticed on my tablet device I was using while enjoying my lunch that the next 2 job appointments I was scheduled to come into Dundee School for had suddenly become canceled. At this time, I thought nothing of it until I came back from work from my lunch break. A lady from the district office had asked me to speak with me out in the hallway, so I came out to speak with her in the hallway. She asked me to stop by when I was free to speak with the then school superintendent, a fucking bitch named Kelly Hawk. I stopped over at about 1:15 p.m. to attempt to talk. However, I was asked to come back later at about 2:15 p.m. because the fucking bitch was in a meeting. I said, okay. I said, that's fine. I breathed a sigh of relief, and I next arrived at about 2:09 p.m. and was instantly ushered into Kelly Hawk's office. At first, the meeting sounded calm, but then she first mentioned some arrest made, and I'm thinking, what the heck does this have to do with me? Now, I guess I could probably clarify a little on that, because before I got to Dundee School, there was an incident with another teacher by the name of Amy Curran. You can look her up on YouTube if you want. And there's this whole YouTube video that explains it better than I can because I don't know too much about it. But apparently, the gist of it was that she had stolen money from students, and and she and the students were upset about that, and the community was upset about that because she breached the trust of the students, and then the whole community had to rally to at the last minute to support these students who were trying to go on a senior trip to and after what this woman did, and she got fired and reprimanded for that, and I guess it was a PR nightmare that the school didn't want. So when they found out about my occasion, what I did, what I got caught doing, because some fucking narc had narked me out to the school about it because they found out I worked for the school. Kelly Hawk found out, and she didn't want to another PR nightmare with the school, so that's why she agreed to fire me on the spot, and that was what I thought was what she meant by an arrest made. And that's when I was thinking, what the heck does this have to do with me? Again, I had nothing to do with that whole incident with Amy Curran. That was before I even got to Dundee School. So don't fucking blame this on me, Kelly. You fucking whore. End of rant. Anyway, after she mentions this arrest made comment to me, she then informs me that day would end up being my last day to work at Dundee School after hearing this vague comment from her about some arrest being made. Now, she then shows me a screenshot taken of my words and only my words on this comment that I said I deleted to comply with the haters 2 weeks ago. From that WFLR article. This, she claimed, was her reasoning for terminating me, because she was offended by what I had to say, commenting on how biased and unfair the original article was written to sound like. I vouched to her that I had a First Amendment right to say whatever the hell I wanted, and it wasn't as if I did anything wrong directly at work. How can she still fire me for something outside of work? Again, that wasn't fair, and people today are still doing the same shit that I did, and they're still working, they still have jobs, and I don't. That's not fair. I had already committed to come back for at least 2 more scheduled jobs from that week. I said to her that I was coming back for those commitments whether she liked it or not. She immediately took my words at this point as threatening to her, and I was then escorted out of her office and later out of the school building to the parking lot by a rogue school officer, some bully, some fucking dickhead by the name of Rick Simpson. More on him in a second. Even though I was escorted out by Rick Scumbag Simpson before I had finished saying my piece to Kelly Hawk, all these years later, 6 by now, I still have not yet properly punched out of my job from that day because the fucking scumbag dickhead resource officer at the time, Rick Simpson, wouldn't let me say goodbye to any of my colleagues, because I told my boss at the time that I was going over to meet with the superintendent to find out what the heck she wanted, and I didn't think at the time that it was going to be that bad. I thought I would be right back, to say goodbye to the kids. They could at least give me that, but nope. I was immediately just escorted out from Kelly Hawk's office, out of the building, by this scumbag prick, Rick Simpson. And 6 years later now, because I didn't sign out, I only wish that I would have just turned around and properly slugged that fucking evil fucking witch Kelly Hawk in the face hard, possibly breaking her jaw with my cold hard fist. She would have ultimately deserved that for her unfair treatment of me. I was getting through to both the students and the staff at Dundee School at the time with my growing work experience working with children then. Kelly Hawk fucking ruined that. Fuck you, bitch. Kelly Hawk should never have later resigned from her post at Dundee School as superintendent during the pandemic. She should have been fired. Her current employment now at Bath Central School ultimately deserves better than her as its new superintendent. Because, I say this again, Kelly Hawk is nothing more than an evil fucking witch for the way she treated me, and I am not ever gonna forgive her. Fuck you, bitch. Now, back to scumbag Rick Simpson. What can we say about him? As this pathetic pig-fucker was pushing me down the hall from behind to student and staff witnesses nearby, going out to the bus, by the way, he was also cursing me as well with his pathetic, dirty mouth. Some role model he is acting like, representing a big bunch of current fucking pigs, calling themselves the East County Sheriff's Office. Once he finally escorted me far past the school building, he next proceeded to lay his fat fucking paws onto the hood of my parents' 2009 Dodge Avenger car vehicle by pounding onto it loudly. His goal? Wake my somber father up as he was fast asleep waiting for his son to get off work so we could drive him home for that day. Now that my dad was awake at the time, Simpson had uttered to him that if I had came back to Dundee School at any time in the near future, that I would soon become arrested. More into this in a minute. Speaking for what Rick Scumbag Simpson did to my parents' car by pounding onto it loudly, can we say willful destruction of property for what he did to my parents' car? Rick Simpson is nothing more than a fucking criminal, and like Kelly Hawk, he should never have retired from his job at the East County Sheriff's Office during the pandemic either. He should have really been fired, F-I-R-E-D, for his harsh treatment of both me and my parents. The East County Sheriff's Office utterly deserved way better than scumbags like him on their team. Fuck you, Rick Simpson. I mentioned how Rick Simpson, with my dad awake, had mentioned to my dad that if I had came back to school, to the Dundee School property at the time, how I would next become arrested for trespassing. Well, to make a long story short about that, about 2 days later, after informing Kelly Hawk before I had left her office February 12th, forcefully by her and that scumbag Simpson asshole, that I needed to see something in writing officially stating her unfair actions against me, Kelly Hawk had finally complied, and an official notice was soon sent to me detailing what that prick bastard Rick Simpson had shouted to my dad about in the parking lot that day. 6 years later, and with both Rick Simpson and Kelly Hawk no longer working for Dundee School, I guess that order prohibiting me from entering the property at Dundee School is finally completely null and void at last. Thank fucking God, as it should have been all along. It didn't have to go that far. For one little comment, I didn't expect a property ban for that. What the hell were they thinking? I didn't do anything wrong. All this over a comment that I deleted. I have no words for that. I really didn't have to take a property ban at all. This whole mess ultimately began over a common opinion of mine on a news article on Facebook that I was not written about outside of school that someone from the community ultimately took offense to. If only I had never posted that I had worked for a local school district like Dundee on the cover of my Facebook page, then maybe Dundee School wouldn't have got involved to reprimand me, Furthermore, I possibly will still be working there to this day, collecting more experience working with children. This is the important lesson I want to preach, that don't post your job information publicly. It'll get you in a whole mess of trouble like I did. And that's not good. That's not right. Now that I have put this lesson video out for you, I hope that something from my experiences could possibly try to help you if you're struggling like I did. Though I have put this video out for you with the intent to help, I must give you a word of warning. Please do not take offense to anything that I have said or any event that was previously mentioned about as a part of my story. If you do, then I will be forced to take legal action to protect myself, something that I should have done and been brave enough to do for myself 13 years ago on June 8th, 2010, when this all started with my oldest brother being offended at me at the comment that, or the post that I made back then that offended him, and I still to this day cannot figure out why he was offended. So please be forewarned. It's astonishing that people today have to act so soft and can't seem to stop taking things so literally. What a crazy world this is, and it's complete garbage to me. That's all I have to say about that. So until next time, ta-ta for now, Haven Knights. Bye. H-Names Rock. Like, subscribe, and come back for more.